Okay. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Ready? Smile. Hi there. Welcome to Espace Tricot podcast number 14. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Melissa, and we're a knitting store in Montreal, Quebec. And we are coming to you on a very cold and snowy Monday morning. Actually, it's Monday afternoon. It's taken us half the day to...
We got here Monday morning, but by the time we got started. But we also had the man from Videotron, the technician, come to fix our internet problems for us.
Yeah, we were having a lot of Wi-Fi problems. In fact, we had problems with when we were... If those of you who tuned in the beginning of our live knit night the other night, we had problems at the beginning with our internet, so we couldn't actually live stream using the store internet. We had to use your data plan, I think, in the end, right? So that's why we had some glitches, and we got started a little bit after 8. So we've just installed a new modem and got much faster speed, and hopefully we won't have that problem again, because we are planning another knit night.
Yeah, actually, that's a good way to start. So we had our first knit night live, which was very nerve-wracking, and our staff was so excited to participate,
they had a good time,
which was great. Melissa and I were quite nervous about the whole thing, but luckily
I was more nervous about the technology more than anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Work and just how the whole thing would evolve, but I think it worked out quite well.
It did. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was so much fun that we're going to do it again.
Yes.
So we're going to do it on Sunday, December 10th, again at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And Annie, who graciously agreed to help us out and be our moderator, because we're new to this whole live internet thing,
YouTube Live, Facebook Live,
and apparently there are these trolls that come on and sort of start saying mean things and negative things that have nothing to do with knitting, and they're just people who are there to disturb. So Françoise's husband works in technology, IT as well, so he gave us some tips, and then Melissa, you troubleshooted it.
It's actually more that Annie was logged in and moderating from her own account, so she will, the next time we do it, she'll log into our account so that she can actually actively block people as people come on. And
so we always, Melissa and I, we throw something out, we throw ourselves in there, kind of not. It's always good not to be too planned, because it allows for some spontaneity.
Honestly, it did not even dawn on me that trolls would be trolling the live knit, but of course. There's gonna people want to comment on everything,
right? So you just kind of have to let that water off your back, and now we learn from that and know what we need to put in place.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't be as disruptive next time.
So please join us, and we'll send, as we did last time, an Instagram post. We'll do a little Instagram post for people to know, just to remind them that the next one's coming up. Also, the winner of the last Desert Island giveaway was Cindy Bressou, and she contacted us, and she was so happy that I actually said her name in French, because she said living in the States with a French name can be a little bit challenging. So she was quite excited, and we sent that off her way. And it was interesting reading the comments of the Desert Islands.
So for those of you who don't know, at the end of our last podcast, we had asked, it was an opportunity for a giveaway to win 2 skeins of Primrose Yarn Company. It was a DK.
Yes,
it was a Marquess color that Lisa had picked up at Rhinebeck. In her Bohemian colorway, I think, right?
Yep.
And so we had just asked people to tell us what their Desert Island yarn was, whether it was a brand of yarn or a
type
blend
of fiber.
Yarn, a type of fiber. And it was fun going through all of those. But I couldn't even begin to categorize. It was just...
Well, it was everything.
It was everything.
Like hedgehog, tennis, Madeline Tosh. It was anything merino. It was anything cashmere. It was
even some cashmere totally unknown to me hand dyers,
And Cindy, actually, who won, it was somebody who has a small farm that she knows, and it was their yarn. So that was even more special, because it was something quite local to her.
So it was fun. Of course, cashmere was on there quite a lot, or cashmere blends.
But there was everything. There was lots of comments. So and I think it's
good
just
to go through them.
It's probably a good question to ask yourself a few times, during the year, because your tastes change and evolve, and the seasons influence you as well. And then you think, well, if I'm on a desert island, it's going to be hot.
Also, it's hard to narrow down. That was the comment we got the most. Yes. How to choose. How to choose.
Yeah.
How do you choose between your favorites?
Just everything.
Yeah.
So that happened, and we started a knit-along as well, Melissa, if you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, so we started last Thursday. We started our Sunset Highway knit-along November 16th. I think that is running, I want to say 4 weeks. But then I was thinking maybe we scheduled it for 5. But I think it is actually 4 weeks. And we will be running it every Thursday for 4 weeks. And we're running that as an in-store and online knit-along. So we have set up a Ravelry discussion group. And it's actually very active. And there's quite a few people. Are you looking at the poster?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the poster.
There's quite a few people who've cast on, who all cast on last Thursday in the store and in our group, and it's just so fun going in. And if you're interested in just seeing some really, really wonderful color combinations for that sweater, please go and take a little look at the Ravelry thread, because I just think that, that sweater is as individual as the person who knits it,
It was
what
amazing.
people choose.
At Rhinebeck, we saw so many of them, and everyone we saw was
just
fantastic
a reflection
of that person.
So so that's fun. So that's going to run for 4 weeks, and then I think we'll allow people another 2 weeks to completely finish off their sweater, and then if they submit a picture to the finished object thread, they will get entered into a draw to win the boxy, the 3D zip bags from Bagoo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, a set. There's one right there. This is is that the smaller?
This is the small one.
Okay, so it's a set of 3, and this is small, so there's a medium and large included as well, and a choice of their color of the Tanis Fiber Arts Red Label, which is the yarn that I use for my Sunset Highway.
Fantastic. So we'll give you, we'll like talk about the deadline more specifically on our next podcast or Instagram. Exactly. So I couldn't find. I just said when it started. It didn't say when it ended.
I think it's just something.
It's on our blog.
Yeah, middle of December it goes down.
And is it Sasha who's moderating that?
Sasha is moderating that on. She's running the in-store group as well as moderating the Ravelry discussion thread. I pop on there once in a while too because I knit the sweater, and so there were some specific questions regarding the one I knit or what I did in certain spots. So I've been answering those, but for the most part, Sasha will be moderating.
Okay. Yeah. And our store's been growing slowly as we've been going through the year. So this year, actually, to segue into that, is that we noticed that we can't really keep up with all the different platforms we have of communication and social media.
We need help.
We need help. So that's why, Catherine was doing the Ravelry project, the knit-alongs before, but she's home with her new little baby, Gabrielle. So hi to Catherine. And apparently he's sleeping a lot. And
yes.
She's
getting a lot of knitting done, actually.
She's getting a lot of knitting and is enjoying this calm time. And so Sasha's taken over in that respect. But we also have Stephanie, who's helping us with our Ravelry. Do you want to talk about that a bit?
So Stephanie, she was at our knit night, so people have met her if they tuned into the live knit night.
She was wearing the cardigan, the fade.
Yes, the Comfort Fade cardigan by Andre Maury. And so she's going to be helping us out with, I guess, looking after our Ravelry presence.
Like our projects?
Yeah, so uploading our new project, our store samples, having a look in the threads, answering emails,
answering questions,
and then anything that she can address, she'll refer to us, of course, and we'll respond, because we haven't been as on top of answering questions in our message box as we'd like to be.
Right.
And anyway, we have a policy of trying to answer as many customer queries and questions and things pertaining. And that's another thing she's going to manage, is just any questions pertaining to Espace Tricot patterns.
Yeah, that's great, because we do have people, they're asking questions.
We've had a couple of errata and questions and,
helping, I think there's a mistake here. Do you want to check it out? So there's just so much happening. So it's fantastic now that Stephanie is really helping.
So
Stephanie works in store, but she's also doing that for us. So that's great. And we realized, too, we had so many store samples that we had knit that we still hadn't posted to Ravelry.
So
getting on top of that.
Yeah.
And then Mona's still answering our blog. So
Mona mostly answers the blog queries. Yes.
So that's good. We haven't been as active there either, but that's we're kind of still working on all that.
Once in a while, we still.
So if you get an answer from if you have a blog question, then Mona's the one to answer that. Yeah. So that's kind of stuff that's been going on in the store. And I just, for those of you who saw my Instagram post last week, I just came back from a weekend retreat with a group of women who have nothing to do with knitting. I was the only knitter, and it was really, really interesting. And I still managed the one of the women who organized us all together. So it's a group of women that this friend of ours was turning 40, and she decided that as she was turning 40, she was questioning the whole 40 and where life was going and what was missing in her life. And what was missing was contact with inspiring women. So she decided to get this group of women together. And we've been meeting on kind of a regular basis for the past year. And people propose workshops and do things because we all have different talents. And I was supposed to do a knitting workshop.
Oh, okay.
But that didn't happen. So that's going to be happening sometime later on. But the idea was to knit, to teach them how to knit. And then on the weekend, we would knit.
Yeah.
So it was so weird. It was the first time I was telling Melissa that I have been away with a group of women who don't knit,
And you couldn't knit. Well, you weren't knitting.
I wasn't really knitting because it wasn't really part of, we didn't have a lot of time to just sit and hang around. And it was kind of weird because every time we go away or we have a group,
we're knitting, of course.
We're knitting. I mean, we're talking, we're doing other
but
things.
We're in company of knitters.
Company of knitters. So it's like, oh, what do women do when they get together and not knit?
If they don't knit.
It was true. I was like, what are we going to do all weekend if we don't knit? But
amazing what you can.
I know, but it was funny because there's so, one woman taught us how to make face and hand creams, and someone else did a Qigong class, someone did a yoga class. I dabble in.
It sounds fantastic.
It was
just like it sounds more like a retreat where you get to learn a bunch of fun, interesting.
Yeah, and we had some little deeper sessions, but then a lot of just fun sessions, and of course in French we do the apéro, the 5 à 7. So every day we had to have our little cocktails, exactly. So we did that. And so I'm like, okay, I got to bring yarn in somehow into this, So anyways, the woman leading the group became pregnant during this.
Oh, is she pregnant?
She's pregnant.
One? Okay.
And she's the one turned 40 and pregnant. So we did a little ritual for her at the end of the retreat yesterday. So what we did was we all have a bracelet of yarn with a little bead on it. So every one of us is wearing this bracelet because, at 40, having a baby, she already has 2 kids. It's do I have that courage, that strength, So we all have this little bracelet with a bead, and we're all going to keep it on until she gives birth.
Oh, nice.
And then we cut it from after when she announces it to us. So
it's art-filled yarn.
It's art-filled yarn and confetti and so pretty. So you know what? Even if you can't knit, you can still incorporate yarn,
Yeah, you incorporated the fiber.
And on that note, too, we just had this little bazaar as well where everybody brought something that was sort of special to them, but that no longer needed in their life to do an exchange. So I actually got a pair of hand-knit
wrist warmers.
And it's really funny because I had mentioned, I think maybe on our last podcast, that when I got my cast off, I wanted something to protect.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I should knit a pair of wrist warmers.
Well, you bought your Lululemon
But so then I went and bought some. Yeah. But how nice is it that I have a hand-knit pair from that I picked up at the bazaar yesterday.
So nice.
And look at the color. Couldn't be more perfect.
So did you guys have to buy? You weren't buying them. You were just taking what you wanted.
Yeah. So we had like a little.
I know the color's perfect.
We had a hat, and then we pick a name, and then that person would go. And,
you would go and pick.
And you would go and pick what you wanted. So I was like one of the first. I was like the third. So lots of people were jealous. So even though I'm not knitting, I'm finding ways to
incorporate the yarn.
Exactly.
Incorporate the yarn.
So that's what's going on with me. And Melissa's like, I'm like, Melissa, what's going on with you? She's like, oh, nothing. I'm like, you've been like knitting up a storm.
I have to knit for 2 now because Lisa's can't knit, so I got to knit all the projects.
Seriously.
Although I have to say I'm knitting mostly for myself. Although actually I have 2 store samples today.
Yeah, but everything you knit for yourself, you eventually leave at the store. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to look. I'm wearing something.
You are.
I did not leave it.
I know it's very impressive. But she's like,
I'm keeping more and more of the things.
Which is actually nice.
Which is great.
So you've really been knitting a lot. So then
I've been knitting a lot. I've been kind of cocooning, hibernating. My husband is still not here, which is hard. But we're keeping our fingers crossed that by Christmas he'll be here. So, helping my son adjust to his new school and we're so happy to be back. But of course, you move countries. There's always all that bureaucracy and paperwork and
we're known for that here in Quebec.
And adjusting. I mean, it's my old neighborhood, it's my old life, but it's still an adjustment. So,
it's like especially that she can't have Amazon like delivery.
Oh yeah, Prime same
day delivery because in Canada that doesn't exist.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. But no, I think it's more just. I had a really nice life in the States, and I had wonderful friends, and I missed them, and I came back to something great, and of course we had to hit the ground running with the store. It's been so busy, and so just kind of feeling like I'm playing catch up. So Lisa was asking me what I was doing on the weekend, and I was like, you know what? Nothing. Literally nothing. I have nothing planned. Apart from getting my son to and from soccer, I'm just trying to be very low key and knitting. I'm finding that knitting right now. I need knitting a lot in my life. I'm feeling kind of stressed, not anxious, but just like I have a lot going on and I need to keep myself on an even keel and be centered. And so...
And it brings you back to yourself, right? And it gives you that moment of just being still and calm.
Yeah, exactly. So it's helping me. So I'm knitting as much as I can.
So then I have to deal with that. Can I be zen within myself and accept
that you're not knitting?
That I'm not knitting and that she's going to be like, I have lost... I said 6 months. She thinks I'm being a bit overdramatic.
She's glass half empty. It's only been, what, 2 months?
Yeah, it's been 2 months, but
you're already knitting.
I'm knitting, but it's like really slow, and then it gets sore, and then I stop. It's so much energy, and so I'm like, oh my God, am I okay that she's gonna have produced 12 to 20 items, and I'll be like,
that's not gonna
I'm
happen,
halfway through my shawl after 6 months.
Oh, but it's gonna be a beautiful.
It will be a beautiful shawl. So, but knitting for two.
Yeah, so I'm knitting
She's
for
like,
two, and I'm not pregnant.
Exactly. She's going to make sure that we say I'm not pregnant.
That would be a miracle.
No, your husband's in the States.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a real miracle. Or I would be in trouble.
Okay, moving right along. Here we go. So what? Well, we alluded
you want to
to
talk about what we're wearing?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, okay. Yeah. So I'm wearing my. Let's forget the name of it.
I wrote it down for you, Melissa.
Okay.
There it is, right there.
Lisa's got our notes. The light turtleneck
sweater. I can't knit, but I can type.
Light turtleneck sweater by Pickles Oslo. I think it's just Pickles or Pickles Oslo on Ravelry. It's I decided to, it's knit at quite a loose gauge, and I knit the Drops Alpaca stranded with Shibui Silk Cloud. And while it's still very light and airy, I think my gauge was a little bit tighter than the pattern called for, just because I didn't want it too loose and too loosey-goosey. So I made a few modifications. I don't think that I adjusted the size. I think it's just a little bit smaller than the size that I knit. In any case, my mods and notes are all up on Ravelry for this project. But I have to say, I love the fabric created by the Drops Alpaca combined with the
to everybody's surprise. I'm sure that's the first time you've heard that.
I think I'm a bit embarrassed because most things that I'm talking about today, I think I've stranded Silk Cloud with. But it's my thing. I love it. So this is just the gray with the
How nice is it when you find your thing?
It's my thing.
And in French we say tu peux l'assumer. C'est toi, tu peux l'assumer. It's you. You can assume it.
You can assume it. Take it on. I own it.
Own it.
So, I mean, if stranding with mohair is not your thing, then you can just ignore my project.
Yeah, you can come to my side.
Exactly. So, anyway, it was a very quick knit because it's very loose gauge. I think the gauge is 15 stitches or 14 or 15 stitches or something like that. So it is very quick, and I love knitting it. And I wear it a lot, and it's held up really well. I wore it a lot last year.
Yeah, you made that
last winter, and I brought it out a couple weeks ago, and I feel like it held its shape, and it's super comfortable. So I'm happy with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing, you probably don't even notice that I'm wearing something. It's black. So this is a little shaylin that I did. Now it's kind of silly because who does lace weight in black, right? So,
and then a yarn that blooms and fills in all the lace holes.
So je l'assume.
There you go.
So this is the Shaylin by Layla Rab, and hopefully I said her name correctly. And it's done in a mink yarn that we don't even have anymore. I don't even know if it exists. It was a very small cottage industry that was...
it's amazing. It's bloomed so much, you literally can't see the holes of the lace anymore.
And it was it's responsibly sourced, and we had it in the store for a while, but then the production wasn't strong enough to be able to...
It was very interesting, this mink yarn, because it felt very stringy in the ball.
Oh yeah, it was hard to sell. People didn't want to buy it.
But it's incredible.
It's like, cashmere. It's you got to work it and use it, and it blooms like crazy. So I mean, I don't even know. Okay, so there's my halo.
Anyway, but there's your halo.
There's my halo.
And that is a beautiful, simple pattern.
Yeah.
It was very popular
and it's a nice beginner lace project as well for people.
And you can make it as big or small as you like.
Yeah.
Right?
So I made just like a little one because I had a limited amount of yarn. So I just stopped. When I ran out of yarn. So this is a lot of times I'll wear this under my scarf. Like I'll wear it as an indoor, and then when I go outside in the winter, I'll put something up. So I really like that. And then I decided, it's winter.
Sorry about the phone. We'll have to remember to take it off the hook next time.
And then, last time we took it off the hook, but then with the printer.
Oh, the printer, right.
I forgot about that.
Right.
So, so it's winter. So we're also wearing winter things. So this is Oh, I should have gleaned this one. Remember that was our first
episode?
Yeah,
my first episode, I gleaned it for you. Is it in need of again? It's not sad.
It's not so bad. Yeah. So this is the Cocoon by Maison Rilili. The Cocoon hat, and there's two versions. There's the pointy and the round slouch. So I did the pointy one, and it's one skein of Cascade 128 Superwash.
Cute.
It's so cute. Melissa always, I have to remember, she always tells me I got to pull this down.
Just pull it.
And I have a black one and I have a blue one, and I love it because it's nice and warm, but super cozy.
Dense.
It's dense. So that's my winter hat that I took out to wear this weekend. And then these two needed a little bit of a glean. These are my mitten liners that I wear. Now I can wear them alone, but then when it gets colder, I wear them under some big felted mitts.
Nice.
And these are actually, what's her pattern? It is just mitten liners by Mona. Everyone knows Mona Schmidt.
Yeah, so it's done with fingering weight yarn and at a quite a dense gauge.
Yes.
And so Mona designed these last year. She knit me a green pair for, was it Christmas or no, birthday I think. Christmas before last.
Well, Christmas is,
last year we got the ones with the
fingers.
The finger.
Yeah,
anyway,
Christmas.
these were designed to go under mittens. Yeah. Under your big thick mittens, or just to wear a standalone?
Yeah, so when it's not so cold, I wear them alone, and then when it's colder, I slip them in.
But because they're so dense, they just really cut the wind, which is nice.
And these are done in Madeline Tosh Light, but any fingering weight. So I'm wearing those.
It's a free pattern, Lise, do you know?
That I don't know.
Okay, not sure.
Not sure. Please check out her Ravelry page.
Yeah.
So that's what we're wearing.
Yep.
Now, what are we?
Finished objects?
This is my finished object. A bracelet, a yarn bracelet with a bead. There's my finished object.
All right, folks, I finished my Vertices Unite. Yay! This was so fun.
Turn it around.
Okay. So this is a worsted weight Vertices Unite, and I knit this with the Eco Highland Duo, which is the most delicious blend. Did I bring?
Yeah,
yes,
you
I
brought some over there.
Of
here, let me hold.
Baby alpaca and merino.
Okay.
I think these are the 4 colors I used. Actually, some fibers in my eye. You have them?
Yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
Sorry.
So I used black, cafe au lait, latte, and I actually used a crew. That one's white, but we're sold out of a crew right now, so I just grabbed the white. They're not that different, actually. But this right here is a crew, which I guess has a slightly yellower...
I'm just going to show one that's maybe...
Yeah. So, it's the halo without the mohair.
And you know what? Like, we're sometimes sensitive to alpaca.
Yeah.
But I feel that you don't feel the pick.
No.
You don't feel the pick.
At all.
No.
So I wear this around my neck. And, oh, look at my ends are coming through. I have to fix that.
And then,
what was nice is when I was sewing in the ends last night, because it has this I-cord edge all the way around it, I waited till I was finished the I-cord edge, and then I could take all of my ends and just sew them into the I-cord binding. So I didn't have to take anything into the back of the knitting at all. So, this is a Stephen West pattern. It's called the Vertices Unite. Sorry, Lisa, I'm in the face there. And it starts over here. It starts at this corner, and you do this stripe section first.
This looks like the carpet in your living room.
The what?
The carpet
in my living room. And because I decided to do it in the worsted weight, I had to sort of decide how many stitches I was going to go up to. Is it too much to say am I giving too much of the pattern away if I say that it's, knit to a certain number?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so in the pattern you have a choice. You start over here and you knit to 60 stitches or 90 stitches.
Here.
Yeah. And I decided to go to 68 stitches is what I went to with the worsted weight. That was,
and that's going to decide.
And that determines the whole rest of the size of the shawl.
Yeah. Because he gives a fingering and a worsted? Or no,
there's no
just
worsted
2 fingers.
Just 2 fingering.
So a small and a large. So
yes, exactly. So the small you knit to 60 stitches and the large you knit to 90 stitches. And because I was doing the worsted, but I didn't want it to be, I think you knit to 60 for your wool.
Because I did the small one, but with a worsted weight.
So you did to 60.
Yeah.
So I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, and I think I used a larger needle size than you as well. So I used a 5.5 millimeter needle with the Highland Duo, and I I wanted it to be really nice and big and just to wrap me
It's like
up.
that big cozy blanket.
It is. Oh,
and I just want to.
It's not so heavy. Like,
no, it's not heavy. I thought it was going to be heavier than this.
It's really not too bad. Maybe because it's it's still quite a loose gauge, so it's not.
I find the I-cord edge
it's not super dense.
Right, I agree, and I find the I-cord edge is giving it a bit of structure,
right,
for it not to lose its shape.
Yeah. So what I used for so there was some debate, as you guys might have noticed. I initially thought that I was going to do a neon pink I-cord edge all the way around this, and part of me still wishes that I had the nerve.
Mm-hmm. In your next life.
In my next life. There's part of my personality that really was feeling the hot pink.
But she's still she's still in denial.
Yeah, my practical side.
She's in the closet.
My practical side came out, and I decided to opt for the green. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. So in the end, what I decided to use was the Lark. This is Quince & Co. Lark, which is a plied yarn, versus the Highland Duo, which is a single ply yarn, and it's a wool. It's
100% wool.
100% wool. So it has a more structured feel than the rest of it. So I think it finished it nicely.
Yes, it does. That's what I found. They won't stretch out of shape, it'll hold. Yeah. And I just wanted to mention, because, it's very hard to be precise of like the dimensions. Yeah. This is the pattern because we talked about it. She's like, Melissa, you were saying, do I go with the small? Do I go with the large? I'm like, well, maybe somewhere in between. And I think this is the kind of project where you just have to say, well, I think it's going to be this, and I just go with it, roughly, and it's roughly. Just the idea of like, if I were to do it in a fingering weight yarn in the large size, this is the dimension it would be. So kind of guess, because sometimes as knitters, we want such precise information, or what is exactly the way that person did it. Yeah. But sometimes you just have to.
Well, it's funny because when I cast it on, I was going to split the difference and do it somewhere to 75 or some, because 60 to 90. So I was going to, maybe I'll go 70, 75. But then at 68, that's when I decided, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
So really it's just.
You just use your intuition.
You do it and play, and then just decide on the fly.
Right.
And really it's the kind of pattern that it doesn't really matter what you go to, you can adjust. I mean,
everything
all the rest of the pattern kind of flows from that.
Yeah, it's just that the exact stitch count will be different. Yeah. But the rest of the pattern just completely flows, so you don't have to modify anything else.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the color in the end. I think it's very me, and I will wear it.
You will.
I will wear it, and it's so cozy, and I like wearing it like this. I like wearing it just over my shoulders, like a real Grandma Mara shawl. Yeah. I had it yesterday with a black sweater. It looked quite chic, actually. So.
Well, Melissa, look at yourself. It's still pretty colorful. Yeah. Like, I know it's like neutrals, but there's a lot. It's pattern.
There's a pattern. There's a lot of texture going on.
Stuff's going on.
There's stuff going on.
It's not like this here.
It didn't need to be hot pink.
No, it didn't. It's not like this here. There's texture.
There's texture. So that's my
Vertices Unite.
Yeah, that's my Vertices Unite. So hopefully by the time this podcast goes up, I will have that up on my Ravelry page. Project page, exactly. Okay. So you'll have all my details. Sorry.
Next.
No, go ahead.
I don't have anything finished.
Oh. Sorry.
I'm trying to be subtle.
Sorry, Lise. Okay, so the next finished object I have is, I wish I'd brought the pattern. This is a pattern by Jane Richmond called I don't know how you pronounce it, Arika, Arika, Arika.
Would you like me to model it?
Yeah, why don't you model it, since I have so many layers on now.
It can be good for something.
Yes, exactly.
Something.
So this, I wanted to use the Brooklyn Tweed Quarry, which is what I used for this. But I wanted to have a bit of a halo. So
I stranded Melissa. You know, shy.
I know, shy. Especially I wanted a bit of the mohair. Wow, someone's really trying to reach us today.
I tell you, we're popular today.
So I wanted to have the mohair, especially in the fringe part, because I just thought it would add some nice texture. So here,
is the mohair all through or just in the fringe? Through. So my father has an expression. My father's Italian, so he has all kinds of funny expressions. And whenever you do something, he's like you're not embarrassed. He says, shy? You know, shy to do that? Oh, it's a little tighter. I have to take my glasses off.
Yeah, take your glasses off. Yeah, I wanted it to sit quite close on my neck again, so...
We're in the sitting close to the neck phase.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. Look how cool. So I have this really nice leather jacket that I bought years ago at M0851, and I wanted something, because it has kind of almost not a mandarin collar, but a stand-up collar.
Yes.
And I'm finding that it looks better with things over it. a scarf over it rather than under it.
And then you could like put it this way.
Shoulder,
like Melissa, all these things are looking great on me. I think I should take them home. Remember last time, the winter warmer?
This one you could knit, Lise.
Oh, seriously. No, I can't. I haven't done pearl yet. Are there pearls in here? Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done pearl yet.
Yeah.
I have to test pearl out first.
Anyway, so this was one skein of quarry with one skein of silk cloud. Obviously, you don't use all the silk cloud. I went right to the end of the quarry.
Okay. It's really fabulous.
I'm trying to think if I made any. I don't think I made any modifications whatsoever. I might have put my fringes a little bit closer together. I think she says put them an inch apart. I think I might have put them a little less than an inch apart. And at first I thought I wouldn't take them all the way around the back, but in the end I had enough. So
that's what's fun with a fringe. Sometimes what I do is I space out like the fringe and then I go and I put the one in between to make sure I have enough.
Yeah, so
super cute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was happy with that.
Okay,
and
next.
Then so the last thing.
Notice it's all big yarn. It's all big yarn.
Oh, this is worsted.
Well, bigger than fingering.
But this is, it is bigger than fingering. Okay, so last night I decided I wanted to knit a hat. I wanted to knit up a store sample with the merino Aran that we received from Hedgehog Fibers.
Because you know what? This yarn begs to be a hat.
It begs to be a hat. It begs to be an accessory. Yeah. So I had when the yarn came in, I grabbed a skein of Artifact because I just love this colorway. I don't know if you can see it. It's sort of a neutral brown beige tan with all those little pops of color, which I thought were so pretty. I had no idea what I was going to knit with it, but it's been sitting in my stash for a while. And I also had a partial skein of Shibui Silk Cloud in the mineral colorway at home from another project. And so I kind of just thought they would work together. So I decided to cast on a hat. I made up a hat pattern. It's a very simple hat. And I knew we had these new pom-poms in store.
Oh, there's one too that you have over there.
Oh yeah, this is the Haricana. So I thought that I would. So these are new pom-poms we've had. Have we talked about these on the podcast?
No, we haven't.
Okay, so these are new pom-poms we have from Big Bad Wool, and what's great about them, we have them in 4 different colors right now. So we have the white. I think I Instagrammed these on the weekend. Yeah. This is sort of a gray, but it has a little brown in it. This is the hot pink
with a little bit of black fleck.
Yeah, with little black on the tips, and the black one. It's a little bit squashed, this one, but they plump up. And so what's nice about them though is that they have snaps. So you can sew in the snap. Let's see, can I snap this here? You sew in the one side of the snap to your hat, and then you can snap your pom-poms on and off.
So
you sew this side here. See? And then you can just, and this just fits right on.
And you can mix and match.
And you can mix and match. So what's great was I was like, I don't know what's color pom-pom.
Are you in a pink mood?
I'm in a pink mood.
Are you in a gray-brown mood?
Gray-brown mood. So what's cool, because this, this picks up on the colors in there. But
and what's nice too is that, when you wash your hat, you can take the pom-pom off.
Yeah, you can take your pom-pom off. Ooh, I think I just dropped that snap down my sleeve. That was not very smart of us to take that off.
Oh, there it is, right there.
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll put it here.
Well, let me put it back on the thing.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I will write that pattern up.
It's a pattern that you created.
Yeah, so I just it's very simple. I'm
going to model again.
Let's see. There you go. See? Very, very simple. What I wanted was to have some slouch, but not too much slouch. And I think it'll look it.
I'm just too cute.
I think it's the hat.
It's definitely the hat.
So yeah, you can just try, snap on, snap off. Or if you wanted to have a more permanent pom-pom, this is one of the ones that we got from Haricana. Yeah. I think this is the Coyote, which I thought also looked great.
Yeah, and that's made of recycled fur here in Montreal.
Exactly.
And there's a little elastic, so it doesn't have to be. You can either permanently put it on, or you can tie a piece of yarn and make like a knot that you're able to take off.
That you can take off. Anyway, so these pom-poms are great. They're flying out of here, I have to say, though. So we have to place another order.
We have another Haricana order, but I have to go pick up, and I can't drive my car, so I need to get some assistance for that.
You need your husband.
I do. So okay, and you have another one.
What?
Look, see, I told you you're putting me to shame. The bobble.
Oh my goodness!
So the hat doesn't have a name yet, right, Melissa?
The hat doesn't have a name yet. So
it will have a name by the time this podcast airs.
I cast it on at 7:30 last night, and I was finished before I went to sleep. So it's really super fast. Quick. Okay, you guys, this one I love so much. I think I did mention on our last podcast that I had fallen in love with Gigi. This is Gay Glaspie's pattern. Gigi made it. People know her as Gigi Made It. And so she was wearing this at Rhinebeck in orange. Bright orange, because you orange is her favorite and her signature color. Mm-hmm. And I saw it and I thought this would make... First of all, I wanted to knit it for my mother. Mm-hmm. And my mother's like, I'm not sure if it'll look good on me. So I said, well, never mind. I'm going to make it as a store sample. And I used the scrumptious... I think I just grabbed it. Yeah.
No,
I call it scrumptious. That's what you called it last week, right? It's
I called it serendipity.
Spontaneous. Okay, you called it serendipity. That's right. So this is Spontaneous from Cascade Yarns, and it's 100% merino. It's a super bulky, and it's so cozy and soft. And so I used 3 skeins of that and that was just enough to do the pattern.
And this one is merino, right? This is a super bulky merino, but you could also do it in the Magnum.
Yes. Which is this not merino? Then
no,
this is just 100% wool. Yeah. It's still soft. I would say that the Spontaneous is a little bit softer for sure. Mm-hmm. But you would also need 3 skeins of this. This one you would have left over, and you could also make it a little bit larger if you wanted to, whereas this was just enough to knit it to the pattern size. Mm-hmm. And I will say that I adjusted the pattern slightly on Gigi's. She actually has 2 rows of bobbles. And each row, the bobbles are a little further apart. So I because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough yarn, I wanted the net number of bobbles to be a little bit fewer. So I just did 1 row and put them closer together. And I'm happy with that. So. Mm-hmm.
And that's obviously the mods will be on our Ravelry project page.
Yes.
Because now we have Stephanie, who will get it all up there for us.
Yes, exactly.
But the backlog is that we have to provide her with the information. Yes, exactly. Just like my Orefi.
No, this one's already up.
It's up already?
Yeah, we put this one up.
I have to send her my stuff for my Orefi.
Anyway, thank you, Gigi, for such a great pattern. I highly recommend it. It's beautifully written. She even has video support for making the bobbles. So I think it's a great cozy, snuggly thing to have to just pull on. It literally pulls on over everything. There's no size, and it doesn't matter what you're wearing. I could see it dressed up. I think I wrote on my Instagram or maybe the Ravelry post that I could see this over like an all black outfit with a super chic necklace, or over just something casual, like jeans and t-shirt and
turtleneck. And also, whatever. A lot of people, when they're working at work or they're at the computer,
it's cold in their office.
It's cold, so just having that you can even leave at work.
Yeah.
And you can leave it there, and then you pull it on, and then it just goes on top of everything, and you don't have to worry about the fit. And
perfect.
So even like I have this sweater, I could just put that on top of this sweater if I need a little bit of warmth and keep it at the office.
It reminds me of not Mr. Dressup.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
He goes and puts his
sweater on every time he comes into it. Just hang it at the door.
Yeah.
Just pull it on every time.
Pull it when you need it. So you've been busy. See, I told you you've been busy.
Yes.
Seriously, been busy. So moving right along.
Next.
Works in progress. Okay, I could talk about my works in progress.
God, I feel like I've been talking.
Yeah, well, I talked more at the beginning, then you talked more, and we take turns. So, my works in progress. So okay, let me see. These. Thank you.
Okay, we can talk about this bag first.
Yes.
Or do you want to talk about your work in progress?
I don't know. Well, let's talk about the bag as you're opening it.
Guys, look at how beautiful this bag is.
Amazing.
Okay, so these are gorgeous project bags.
Show the inside too.
Yeah, I will. Knit. Made by Sandy of Sandy by the Lakeside. Sandy has a great podcast, which is how I first discovered her. And it's got checks on the inside. And so I've been following her. I've been watching her podcast. She's ordered a few things from our store. We met her at Rhinebeck. And so she, was it maybe 2 weeks ago, she showed this bag on her Instagram feed. And I was just all over it, and I was like, Sandy, how can we get those bags? I wanted to order them right away. And so she was just so generous and said that she would gift one to Lisa and I. And I really wanted to compensate her because I know that these are a lot of work and they're beautifully made.
I know the quality of the stitching
is incredible. Anyway, they came this week, or was it last week? End of last week.
Just before I left, Thursday.
Just before you left. They came last week, and they were so beautifully packaged, and they were just so pretty with such a nice note.
And I love this. I love the stitching. I like when something is simple, but it has a little bit of a little added flare.
Yeah, and that's when her little pin. Anyway, so I highly recommend her project bags, which she sells on Etsy. I believe she's Sandy by the Lakeside on Etsy. I wonder if she also has her own website. I'm not sure. Anyway, just search Sandy by the Lakeside, and she also has a great podcast.
Keep it open.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you want to talk about your project that's in there?
Perfect. So I started a half mitered, and I have the name of the designer this time by Himawari Knits. And I started in Woolfolk Far. And I said the whole story last time about the color and why I chose this color. So this I've been doing, and I've got this far. So this is my therapy project. Because those of you who are just tuning in, I'm recovering from a wrist fracture. And so I decided to start this as a therapy project.
So pretty.
But then I kind of got bored of the color.
Oh, really? So you started another one?
So I started another one.
Oh, yes, I know, of course.
So, okay, so what happened was, I called the store and I'm like, okay, no, I went on our website first. I'm like, oh yeah, we have a web store. I can go on the web store. I'm like, okay, I need something color because the original picture, which unfortunately I don't have, is a very pale white or gray with like little speckles.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want. Like subtle and neutral, but just a little bit of color. So I went to our web store and everything I know we have speckles or a little bit very, I looked, I'm like, oh, I just couldn't find the right thing. So then I emailed the store. I'm like, okay, so I want to make this. Is there any speckle in the store that I would like? And they said no. I'm like, how is it possible that there's not one speckle? So then the next day I came into the store and I checked, and sure enough, for that specific project.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't like speckles, but something that was subtle that I could wear. Then Amalia was wearing a Lezu, a sweater she made out of Julia Asselin. I don't know which weight, but it was colorway Pixel.
Yeah, in the Pixel colorway.
It
was Lazy Decay.
Which is her old colors, which she doesn't make anymore. I'm like, oh, I want to do it in Pixel.
And we had that in stock for a long time.
But I'm like, but Amalia said, well, you didn't like the Pixel. I'm like, what do you mean? I like Pixel. She goes, well, back then you didn't like Pixel. I'm like, well, now I want Pixel.
It's probably that not that you didn't like it. You didn't have a project in mind for it.
Probably. Right? I was too what's it called? Judgmental, colors. I was like in a black phase.
Too colorful.
Too colorful. So then I'm like, I got to find myself some Pixel. And then I was like, I know if I ask Julie, she might do me a service. And I said I didn't want to put that pressure on her because she's really trying to get away from those dyes, and she's super busy. So then I'm like, there's got to be a store that has Pixel. And I needed it in a DK weight because I only had a 4.5 millimeter needle, and I can't knit with thinner because of my wrist. So sure enough, I found a store that had some Pixel, and it's Firefly Fibers. So I wanted to give them a little shout out. Firefly Fibers in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Oh, isn't that cute?
Okay.
So they had.
So if you're looking for Lezu DK,
they might have a few skeins left.
So it is a DK. Okay.
Which is a merino silk blend.
Yeah.
And they sent me a nice little message that says, "Hi Lisa, thank you so much, and happy Lezu DK knitting." So I thought that was super cute. So I was a little bit embarrassed, but je l'assume. I'm assuming.
I also ordered yarn from another store
which came
last
today.
Week too, which arrived today. So no need to be embarrassed.
Right. So this. So then I decided to start a second.
It looks nice.
So the same pattern, but a second version of it. So it's the mitered. Oh my God, half mitered by Himawari Knits. So I'm doing it in the Lezu DK and in the Woolfolk Far.
So unfortunately we don't have that Pixel colorway, so you're going to have to find it on...
I'm sure you will
on the interwebs.
And it won't be available for long because it's hard to find because it's a discontinued color. Yeah. But, I mean, choose your favorite speckle.
Yeah.
Be adventurous. So I've got this one and this one going. So I don't know why, but I guess I felt I needed 2 projects. So I have my beautiful projects.
They're very different in terms of how they feel, right?
They are.
The Far is just
luscious,
snuggly and luscious, and this is more about the color. I mean, obviously it feels beautiful totally as well, but it depends on your mood.
Yeah, and I have my Vertices Unite already in Far, which is squishy, so I wanted something a little bit lighter. And I just wanted to mention a little thing that I do in case other people might be interested, is that when I have a repetitive pattern that I have to keep track of, I make myself, I cut out the little pattern. So instead of having to bring the big pattern with me, this is like my little repeat, and then I just keep it in. So it's less bulky, it's easier to travel with, and I can just pull it out when I need it.
You can see that, Lise?
I have progressive glasses, madame.
No, I can see. I can see it as long as I don't have my glasses on. As soon as I put my glasses on, I would be able to see it. Yeah.
So that's a little trick I have for when I have a little repeat that I have to keep doing.
Yeah.
So that's those are my finished projects.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice.
Not my finished, my works in progress.
I think that's very good progress, Lise. 2 projects underway, and they're both beautifully knit.
Oh, thank you.
Despite the fracture.
Right? Thank you so much.
So you're making progress.
I am. Slowly. It's slow.
So how long can you knit before you have to stop at this point?
Oh, probably. I knit like 15 minutes
at a time,
and then I'm sore, and then I stop.
Is that like 15 minutes a day? You can't do more.
No,
or can you go back to it later?
Yeah, like I just need to take a break.
Okay.
But I have to say, it's like work. Knitting is work.
Yeah.
So
it's physio right now.
Yeah.
Right?
So I don't really have a desire. I don't knit every day.
Okay.
I'll knit like 15 minutes, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm tired. I gotta take a break.
Oh, it's a shame.
So it's. But I think as time goes on, it'll get a little bit easier. But 15-minute increments. Okay, so you wanted to talk about your Hayward, Melissa.
I had finished the black Hayward, and I'd worn it on podcast episode 11, I believe. No, is that true?
I can't remember, Melissa.
Okay. I'm just trying to be precise, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So I knit the black Hayward. This was a pattern by Julie Hoover, and the pattern is knit in 4 pieces. So you do your front, your back, and your 2 sleeves, and then you piece it all together. And I had actually knit mine in the round, and some people had asked me how I did that, because I had what looked like a seam up the side. So I just created a faux seam. Mm-hmm. And so all I did was I calculated, I did the math basically, and I added the front and back stitches together, and they're identical, the front and back. So I removed 4 stitches to allow for the fact that I wouldn't need the stitches that would be seamed.
Right.
And I cast on that many, and then I placed a marker at the beginning of my round and at the halfway point. And whenever I come to the marker, I just do a purl stitch.
And that gives
the faux seam. And so then I just knit up to where you separate for the sleeves. And I think I can't remember how many inches it is. Anyway, so it makes the first part of this sweater go super fast if you're not a lover of the purl stitch. I love knitting as many things in the round as I can, and so it just knits itself up until the armholes, and then it's just you knit the front, knit the back, and then you knit your 2 sleeves, and
follow the pattern as is.
Yeah, you follow the pattern as is, and it reduces the amount of seaming that you need to do at the end. So
who does not love that to reduce seaming?
There you go. Oh, and I wanted to mention a little trick I just learned yesterday. Maybe that's why I decided to knit this hat last night. I was watching the River City Yarns podcast. They're a shop? Yarn store, I want to say Edmonton. Yes. And they were mentioning that they had recently learned a trick. I think it was from a customer who had mentioned to them, well, they were discussing the issue that you have sometimes when you're doing ribbing, where that last knit stitch looks quite messy, because the purl stitch that comes right after it is a little bit looser. And I noticed this was, on the last couple of knit hats that I've knit, I've always wondered, how can I address that stitch that looks a bit sloppy here? But here you'll notice they all look perfect. And so the trick, it was so simple. I love these things. And, it doesn't matter how many years you knit. Right. There's always some
and it's not an expert trick.
It's not an expert trick at all. And all you do is, as you're knitting, once you've knit your last knit stitch and you're going to your purl stitch, after you knit the first purl stitch, you just put your yarn to the back, give it a little tug, and then bring it back. Bring your yarn to the front, I guess. Give it a little tug, and then bring it back to do your next purl stitch. So it's just tightening up that first purl stitch after the knit stitch. And it works brilliantly. So I just thought that was genius, and I tried it last night on this hat, and it worked a charm. And now I'm like, wow, I'll never have sloppy ribbing stitches again. So thank you, River City Yarns, for that tip. For sharing the tips. Exactly.
Oh, yes. Okay. So here we have Amelia, who gave a class and knit for us the fiddlehead mitts. Now, these have been popular on Ravelry.
They literally look like they're on fire.
I'm like leaving with it, except she only
did one. So.
Well, that's okay, because this one...
there you go.
I was going to say that I'll just find another way to do this, but this is amazing. So this is done in the Tennis Fiber Arts Pure Wash fingering weight, and inside it's Lang Lusso.
Yeah.
Instead of using the mohair, we decided to go for the Lusso,
which is DK weight.
Yeah, and it's just so luscious and comfy. And now this is a super popular pattern.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to the designer, is Adrian Bazilia, and it's a beautiful pattern on Ravelry.
So nice.
We decided to knit that up.
It turned out beautiful. So is that class is finished, but it was very popular.
We might do it again in the fall, I think.
For sure. Yeah, in the fall, not in the winter.
That's what I meant. The winter.
In the winter, starting in January. Yeah. Anyway, it feels so nice.
I know.
I mean, like when you line these with Kid Silk's, of course, it's very luscious, but that Lusso is just it's
plump.
It's much plumper, and so it really feels like your hands are just being hugged in there.
Yeah.
So
enveloped.
Yes, enveloped, and so that turned out great. So if anyone's interested in class, give us a ring. We can add you to a waiting list, and if not, we highly recommend. You just want to get started on these yourself. We highly recommend the Tanis Fiber Arts fingering weight. That's perfect for it.
Yeah,
and I like this hand dyed yarn for color work. So we chose obviously one that the charcoal or the black is it called
I think it's charcoal.
It's obviously only very slightly tonal, whereas the
it's not papaya, is it?
Papaya. It's not pink grapefruit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll add it, but obviously it's a more variegated.
Yeah, so it gives
yarn.
Gives like a really beautiful
without
texture.
Yeah, without having to do much work.
Yeah.
So those are super
very nice. So so I guess this too will wait just when we talk about the yarn. So one of that, we've already talked. Rib Magazine. Here. I guess we're.
I think you've got it over there.
Oh yeah, over here. So Rib 3 is out. I love. Well, obviously we love the colors on that sweater.
Yeah,
on the front.
I love the color. I thought you were talking about the guy. Yeah. But we do this. I think this issue of the magazine is spectacular. Yeah. I included some photos.
And it's such a great idea to create a magazine just for men's knits, because that's really lacking in our industry.
Yeah.
You know, there's little pockets of like nice books and magazines. So it's a really important addition, I think, on the knitting scene.
Some really nice tailored sweaters. So there's a scarf. There's
those socks are fun too.
Yeah. So highly recommend. I hope we still have some of these.
Yeah,
in
we
stock.
do.
Yeah,
we do.
Okay. So I hate it when we talk about things and then we're sold out.
It's so typical of us.
Anyway, issue 3 of Rib Magazine, it's getting better and better with every issue, I think, and it's just onwards and upwards.
That's so nice to see, because sometimes things start with a bang and then you're not too sure where they go. But this one, like you said, it's
getting strong.
It is.
I mean, it started strong,
but it's just getting
going
even stronger.
Yeah.
So the other thing we had kind of hinted about the last time is our pottery here. So Melissa and I started a pottery class, and then I abandoned after a few weeks. Obviously, no option. So we got together with our teacher Hugo, and we asked him if he could do some custom products for us.
We did, and so we had in mind that we would love to have a mug, a yarn bowl, and a notions dish, because I like to have like a little dish usually next to my bed on my night table or on my coffee table, where I always have just the basic tools that I need. So I usually have a pair of scissors, maybe a darning needle, some stitch markers, measuring tape, just a few little things, not everything that one would have in the kit, but just the stuff that I'm reaching for over and over again. And so, I liked having my little dish that was just big enough, to hold those few things. So we thought that we would have. Oh, you've got one.
Well,
there.
This one is you can.
Yeah. So here I've just
and we put this little cute quote that says "Knitting fixes everything."
Knitting fixes everything. Exactly.
And it's a nice little dish.
So here it is. I can't, everything's gonna tip off if I don't.
So and then it's so nice and special that we're able to have this custom made for us by a local ceramicist. So that was really nice. So we have this little dish, and we hesitated about talking about them with shipping and how we're going to ship. So
but we've got Lisa ordered us like a kilometer of bubble wrap the other day. Well, it was cheaper than buying less. We couldn't fit it in the door of the
I'm like, that's what Uline told me. And they sent me a picture. They're like, you think you bought enough bubble wrap? They couldn't get it into the store.
So we have enough bubble wrap to send 1 million of these. Anyway, so and also part of the issue too is that we didn't order that many because we didn't really know how we just wanted to try them first. And so far they've proven quite popular, but we didn't. Unfortunately, it's going to take us a little while to get a restock because Hugo is very busy with the One of a Kind show in Toronto and all his Christmas orders. So he mentioned that he would try and get some done for us in December, and then obviously
in the new year.
So this is the yarn bowl, and it says "All you need is love." Very simple. So we just wanted a very simple, plain white aesthetic, just with some text. The text is the text that we use for the font of our logo.
And what's really nice is they're thick and
they're
thick
heavy and solid, and
they're strong.
They're strong, and they're not just gonna.
Sometimes you see knitting bowls and they're a little bit more fragile.
What I like about that is you put that on the table and you put your yarn. It's not going to pull towards you every time you tug your yarn.
Right.
You know.
And the shape we did, and then we did the mug. And the mug we did the same shape as the bowl, so we kind of respected that shape. And so really there's this sense of like strength and groundedness to these products.
And we wanted a nice big mug. We wanted it, I don't like having my coffee or my tea, especially my tea, out of a titchy little mug. I like to fill it nice and full and just have it, because I nurse it.
Yes, exactly. So you want,
so I just thought, and also just to wrap your hands around here. It's just a really nice shape. Exactly. So,
and we just also wanted to mention that they are handmade products.
Yeah.
So you will, sometimes there's like the foot the way it is, or the printing is a little bit off, but that's part of it. It's handmade and it's not perfect.
It's not going to be perfect.
He started this line called Not Made in China. And it's pretty, and that's what it is, It's not industrial; it's really handmade. So, so those are 3 of our new products that we've.
So those are ready. I don't have them up on the website, but I will have them up.
They
on
will
the website,
come. Well, because we just figured out the shipping.
Yeah, so we just have that all set up to ship now. So we will add those to the web store and make them available.
Yeah.
Whatever we have in stock, and then as we get more,
then they'll be restocked. And then on that note, it's always really fun for us when we find local people that we can work with, and so we found another local girl, Tiffany, who owns company Twill and Print. It's so funny because when we see these things and we're like, oh, we'd love to get those, and then we find out she's from Montreal. We're like so excited. So Tiffany has like this mega set of enamel pins, because we know that now enamel pins are all the rage.
She's actually like an illustrator.
Yes,
illustrator and graphic designer.
So she makes these. She illustrates them.
So she illustrates designs and then has them made, and they're so. You guys look. Make, wear, mend. This enamel sweater with little hearts on the elbows.
And then what's this one called? The crafter, or?
Oh yes, I love that one. I saw a lot of those around at Rhinebeck actually. But look what she's got on her head. She's got everything from yarn to buttons to knitting needles to scissors. I
think there's a little measuring tape.
There's a measuring tape coming from the side.
And then she has this like little braid of yarn over on the top.
Whatever craft is your choice, I'm sure it's covered in her hair there.
Then we have this cute little.
And those ones you can do. You can actually do those on your collar.
Like 1980s.
Yeah.
It says warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy.
And she illustrated all of these. And this one is Yarnaholic.
This one's sweet. One stitch at a time.
And there should be. Do you have 2 sheep?
I have a little sheep.
Oh, there's supposed to be 2 sheeps.
Did you do this one already?
No, is that a sheep?
No.
Oh, there you go. A llama, an alpaca. An alpaca, sorry.
Yeah. There's the alpaca, and there's a sheep.
And what's really smart that she's done is she puts 2 pins on the back so that they don't spin around.
So they don't spin around, and so that they're more secure.
And they stay in the same place.
Exactly.
So they just came.
They just came in. They were entered into our system this morning, so those should be live by the time this goes up as well.
And then you want to do our little.
Oh yes, and in our last podcast, I talked about meeting Andre Sue Knits, Andy of Andre Sue Knits, and she had just launched a new product at Rhinebeck, or maybe she had launched it before, but we saw it for the first time at Rhinebeck, and it was the Bundle Up Betty. I wonder if I can take it out. I'm gonna take it out. And this is basically it's reminiscent of a paper doll, but it's made with bamboo. Oh, maybe I'm going to mess it up. Maybe I'll just show it closer. It's a little doll, and you can knit clothes for her. So I just grabbed these pictures from Ravelry this morning because I think there are a few more. Some are free and some are paid patterns, but Andre Sue has designed all of the little outfits as well. So you can download this. And I just thought that would be a great gift for a little kid.
Too cute.
Yeah.
It's like your doll, a dress-up doll. It's like instead of having a Barbie, you have a Bundle Up Betty.
But seriously, I want one for my... I still want one. But I thought I would just let I just wait. I'll get it on the reorder. they're going quickly, so I thought I would make sure that our customers get the customers who want them get them first.
Exactly, and then after
we'll get one later.
We'll
anyway,
indulge ourselves.
There are more patterns. I think there's 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken, that are available. You know, this is also something that you can experiment with yourself. You know, just. I mean, I think she says that you don't even need to knit things.
No.
You can just tie fabric.
Yeah, that's so true. And you can just use yarn too. And you can also do like paper.
You can make paper.
You can do like paper quills and stick it up.
With
the little tabs.
Hooks, exactly.
Super. It's such a cute idea.
I love it.
I mean, that's what's amazing is how people just create things and how they use their imagination and their past experience to create new things.
I heard too that there might be a little boy coming as well. And one of the questions that we had when I posted this to Instagram was whether or not she stands up on her own, and unfortunately she doesn't. But it doesn't matter. She's meant to be played with.
Yeah, you could get like one of those little, stands that hold plates.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If that's something that you wanted to do.
That's a good idea. Like a little one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the last new product that we have, Melissa, is the Mayak. Yes, Mayak. It's been a little while since we've had our samples ready to go.
Yes, because we ordered this yarn at TNNA back in June, and we just received our first shipment of it. And it's okay. Do you want to grab some skein sleeves?
Yep, I have them right.
Right
over
the
here.
Monitor here.
So,
can you manage?
Yeah, a little bit slower, but I can manage. Do you want to take some?
So these are all the medium?
Yes.
Okay.
It's too bad you can't feel it.
I know.
So sorry.
It's so great. So this is Mayak medium, and it actually comes in 2 weights,
And
the lace and the medium.
So it's the same yarn, but it's thinner. And it's a lace weight, and the medium is a worsted weight.
But
they call it medium. And it is 100% yak, I believe.
100% baby yak.
Baby yak, which it makes a difference because the baby makes it smoother. I mean,
Softer, exactly.
So we have two. We have one
beautiful.
pattern, and some of you might have seen Emily when we were at TNNA. She was knitting this up for us.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Reticolo by Michelle
we
Wan.
bought enough yarn at TNNA in order to start knitting our sample right away. So
we have the Reticolo.
Our resident cable master,
Yes,
Amalia, knit this up in no time for us. So that's called the Reticolo by, did you say by Michelle Wan?
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is our Espace Tricot Saint Laurent pattern that Mona knit up for us in the Mayak. So we wanted that we had done the original one in our Petit Lin, and so we wanted a winter version of that pattern because the Lin is more of a summery yarn. So we've done this one, and it's really beautifully drapey and cozy.
Yes, it is, and it's bigger than it looks. Actually, you want to open it up.
And Mona said that this yarn, when she blocked it, stretched out quite beautifully.
So it seemed like it was going to be small when she was knitting it, but it's
really
so
beautiful.
So do you want to talk a little bit about
so Mayak is a company, a yarn company that was founded by Paola and Adriano, I believe his name is Andrea. I have the little notes pulled up here, and Andrea was a veterinarian working in Tibet, and Paola was working in health, in social economy,
social and economic development,
with small communities in the Tibetan plateau area. And so they decided that they were going to come together and pool their resources in order to create this company that would help support the local Tibetan communities for them to be able to self-finance, to manage their own resources, and to create a cooperative. So she had the idea that they would also pair with their resources in Italy, because Paola and Andrea are both Italian, so would pair with their resources in Italy. So their slogan is quite cute. It says,
"Born in Tibet, crafted in Italy," which is perfect.
Which is bringing that, and it's interesting because it's both. It goes from the Tibetan plateau to the Italian Alps.
Yes.
So both in mountainous regions, and so they brought that together.
It goes to Italy to be milled. And
their story is quite a beautiful story, and if you go to their website, it's really truly well documented.
There's so many beautiful photos and lots of information. So if you're interested in finding out lots more about how this yarn is developed and where it comes from and how it's produced, then we encourage you to go and have a look, because it's so
It's so lush and it's very responsibly sourced and it's responsibly produced. And there was a lot of thought that went behind the whole concept of the company, and really to honor and give credit to the people of Tibet who are actually, sourcing this yarn and getting the fibers for them.
And I think what's very interesting is that since Mayak has come on the scene, what's happened is that there has been a huge sort of surge in the popularity of baby yak yarn, and so there are lots of people now. It's so much so that I think she mentioned that the price of this yarn has actually doubled since, I think, in the last year even. And so, but she does encourage people, if they're interested in purchasing baby yak yarn, that they do a little research into where it's being sourced and how and whether or not it's being responsibly
because it comes produced from areas in the world where it would be very easy to take advantage of the different communities. And the yarn, the dyeing is very interesting because yak there's two, we believe that these are the two base colors. I think these are the two base colors, and that they dye on top. So it's not, they don't bleach the yarn before.
They don't do any bleaching. So they'll just take the lighter ones in order to dye the brighter, more vibrant colorways, and then they would take the darker one and dye there are more colors than
that. That's exactly. I just pulled those ones.
But they would dye the darker colorways on the darker yarn, obviously.
And what's important also is there's with Mayak, there's a respect of the yarn of this is what it is. We're not going to bleach it and take away properties to then put something on. So how can we create a beautiful palette that honors the natural fiber? And it's important, and that's what Mayak is. So nice. If you're looking for bright jewel tones, Mayak is not going to have that. You have to look at
a very sophisticated palette, although they are coming out with some bright neon-y ones, but they still have a little bit of that cast. They're not extreme. They're not, but they are bright,
and it's honoring what the yarn is. And I think that's important. Like every time we do a project and we choose a yarn, we have to choose the right yarn for the right project and honor what it is. It is quite something.
And also just to mention that this yarn is organic as well.
Yeah, I mean, if for people, there's, we get more and more people who are looking for socially conscious yarns, things organic, that are good for the environment.
Good for them.
Responsible, fair trade. So
the colors are beautiful.
This is great.
Okay, so
this is the Espace Tricot Saint Laurent, which is available on our blog.
Yes.
On our website.
This is the Reticolo sweater.
By Michelle Wong.
And so beautiful. I think we all covered this sweater.
I know. What's sad is that we've had these for so long, and we've had to keep them in the back because we were waiting for our order to come in. So it is now
all right, so it is in, and we're excited, and it will definitely all be up online by the time I was just waiting for photographs, which I have now. Paula sent me all the photos this morning or over the weekend, so I'm just in the process of getting them up on the website, so they'll be there.
Nothing like knowing that this is going to be online to get us to move our butts. Okay, we got to do it, So that's sort of what's new in store, and we just wanted to do like a very quick little highlight because the holidays are coming and people are always asking us about,
what are great little gifts, what are stocking stuffers, and this is really just because a lot of these products we've talked about before, and so if you really you don't want to hear any more about products, then please skip over it, and we'll be talking a little bit at the end about holiday knitting, but if you had enough about products, then just
move on
skip.
ahead.
Just skip.
So we're just going to very quickly go through some things, and like I said, Melissa said, we're not going to spend a lot of time since we've already profiled most of these. So these are great little gifts for someone who already knits or something that you can knit for them. So it's the Blue Sky Fibers,
the 21
color slouch hat, and the 21 color mitten hat. So those are two cute little kits.
And here are some beautiful shawl. Oops.
I was going to help you there.
Oh, sorry. Shawl pins from Jewel Designs.
So we have stick pins and we have shawl pins with
hoops. I love these little guys.
So cute.
Okay, so these are great just for, you wrap your shawl and then stick the pin in, and because of the shape, you see it kind of grips your yarn and stays. These ones you actually pin on, clasp on, and then of course these ones are self-explanatory.
Anyway,
and you showed the wood ones already, Lise? Okay. All
I was
right.
trying to go quickly. And also knitting. Oftentimes you want to put little tags to tell people how to knit. How to wash. Yeah, give them a whole pattern description of what to do. So we have some funny ones like just because it's handmade doesn't mean it's cheap. And then on the other side, of course, I made it. Hope you like it. After all the time and thought I put into it, you better. So just some cheeky ones. And then we just have some like, peace, love, knit. And then we have handmade with love. And then just for you, and then knit it, purl it, love it. So these are just little tags. Whenever I knit a gift, I always include the label of the yarn, and then I include a little tag so people know how to wash it, how to care for it, and what fiber is included.
Oh, there we go. So in the back you can see it gives you the opportunity to write in the size, how to care for it, and then you can circle each one of those little icons so people know, because mostly we try to knit for knitworthy people, but you really don't want somebody throwing your 100% wool, or
that's not meant to be. That's not
I'm
super
trying to think
wash.
of something super luxurious that's easily wrecked.
Yes,
or the silk shawl into the washing machine or something. So
those are those little products. Oh, Jezebel, did I? Oh, yes. So Jezebel had a very limited amount. We have all the Jezebel cases. So we have circular cases.
Yeah, they've all been restocked.
We have DPN case bags. And she came out with this very limited edition, a green pattern. She's going to try to get some more of this fabric, but it was very difficult to source.
It's army green.
And this is her interchangeable kit. So not kit, case. And that some people also use this as multi, right?
Yeah.
They'll use it for interchangeable, DPNs, circular needles.
And tools.
And
just
tools.
like scissors and
crochet hooks. So it's kind of I use it as an interchangeable, but it's also considered a multi-case. So that's that is just a little new fabric.
Like that one is all full.
Yeah.
So nice. I just love these. I do love this new green.
Yeah, I do.
But I already have one,
this
so
one
I can't
is mine.
justify taking another one. Don't you have one?
I do, but I have more than one set, so I need another bag, of course, another case. The boxy bags for. So we sold out quite quickly of these. Boxy bags that we made that Catherine from Zigzag Stitches made for us. So we've restocked the denim. We still have a few of the canvas left. And it comes included with one of our Espace Tricot enamel pins. And so the denim, we have all the colors. I
think we didn't get cream somehow. Maybe we didn't ask for it.
Or maybe it wasn't because she asked us to send a priority list. So it could be in the second order.
Yeah,
that we're going to be getting the cream.
So here's orange, yellow, pink,
and then we have other colors too. We have green, we have red.
Green, yeah.
So those have been restocked in denim, and to come the canvas.
I still don't have one of these. I want one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Neither do I. They came. They kind of went so quickly.
Because customers first.
I know. Sometimes we have it on the side for us. I'm like, and then someone wants it.
Okay, let it go if somebody wants it. Exactly.
How about the needle nooks?
Oh yes. Okay. So then our needle nooks have also just been restocked, and these are made by Dave Begley, and he makes these for us in the 6-inch and the 8-inch size, depending on what you're using. And Lisa can demonstrate. I think I dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's down underneath.
Oh, okay.
So this is when you're in progress with your socks and you don't want to lose your DPNs or break them, especially if you're working with wood or bamboo. So you put all the needles.
Just line them all up
with your extra needle in there.
Yeah.
Stick it right there, and then whoops, and then. So it's a super strong magnet. It's fantastic. This is really great. We sell a lot of these, and Dave is great to work with. And he had a shoulder injury, actually.
He was
a little slow in production.
Up a little bit too.
But he got us our order in for the holidays. So that's another new little product. Not a new, but a restock. And then we have the
Okay, I should have brought an open one.
I know, I was looking. I don't know if we have an open one.
So these are the Knitter's Pride knit blockers, which are great because if you see, they are, instead of having to place a pin, a lot of pins around your garment, you can use, I like to use these in combination with blocking wires so that I put my wire and then I can just use this to pin the wire along the edge of my
And I have a little confession to make. This sweater that I'm wearing is the sweater that I felted.
Oh, yeah.
So I, by accident, put this, well, it's not a handmade sweater, but it's 100% merino that I put in the washing machine, and my husband was taking out the laundry. He's like, Lisa,
this was supposed to
supposed to go in the washing machine? Oh my God, I almost had a heart attack. So right away, I'm like, okay, get my blocking, like I had this problem, like get my blocking wires, get my blocking pads, get my knit blockers.
Did you use them?
I used that. So what I did was right away I put my blocking wires inside the middle of the sweater.
Yeah.
And I pulled as much as I could, and I put all my knit blockers down.
Side, so they're not budging.
And I did the same thing with the sleeve. I put a wire in each side of my sleeve, pulled it out, and put my knit blockers.
Okay. Did you try that unshrink it?
No, because I had done this before.
Okay.
And you know what? It's good.
Okay.
It was already a loose sweater.
Yeah, so it's okay.
It was okay, but having those knit blockers was a godsend because I needed to put it all the way down because I needed maximum stretch. So I just wanted a little...
So the box actually includes 12 blockers with 8 pins and 8 blockers with 4 pins, and they are rust proof and stainless steel. So
I did step on one though.
Did you?
So
did it hurt?
No, I stepped on the top because I have a very small place and I had to block it in the middle of my passage. It did not break.
Okay.
I bent it, and then I just really worked hard to push it, and they're straight again.
Okay.
So there you go. You can step on it and still use them.
And revive it.
So what else do we have, Melissa? Denbox? We're doing quite well. The soak in the ukulele.
Okay. So this was just a stocking stuffer idea. Oh, I know. We were going to talk about... Here, these two.
Those.
Okay. Just while I'm reaching for stuff.
So this is great because, it's funny because, there's everything we have is really for knitters, but we have a couple of things that you don't have to be a knitter.
You don't have to be a knitter to like, or to give somebody, right?
Right.
If you want to gift somebody who...
that you don't have time to knit for them, but you want to give them a project.
And they don't knit.
So this is by the Gleaner. So we have a few products by the Gleaner, and these are the dryer dots. So I have these in my dryer. They just live in my dryer. They're 100% wool, and what they do is they help to add more air to your clothes as they dry without any chemicals, and so they dry a little bit faster, and it helps to separate. And what's really good too is when people have to when they have to wash sleeping bags or duvets, they often say put tennis balls.
Yeah.
So
or
this
your North Face coats, your big down coats and everything.
Because it bangs up all the fibers and there's nothing chemical.
So great for anything that has feathers in it. You need to
fluff up.
Yeah.
So that's great. And I also put I don't know what's wrong with my brain, but I put one of my little camping pillows in the washing machine, and it was like all clumpy. No, it's synthetic.
Oh, okay.
But it was all clumped.
Yeah.
So I put it in the dryer with these,
and
it worked really well.
There
It
you
broke
go.
it all up. So that was good.
All right. Okay. And then another product from Cocoa Knits, or a couple of products from Cocoa Knits. We talk about these all the time. You guys, can I say Cocoa Knits?
See, we're trying to go fast, Melissa. We're trying to go fast.
Another product.
Woo, by Gleaner.
Yeah, exactly. Another product from Gleaner. We talk about these all the time. It is, in fact, the Gleaner. And this is the fuzz remover. And I think we mention this almost every podcast, Lise.
This sweater is disgusting. I glean this sweater every time I leave the house because it just pills like there's no tomorrow.
And this just takes care of it. And you have no pills on you right now. So it really, it's got 3 different attachments depending on the fabric that you are trying to depill. So heavy duty to cashmere. And what I like about this exactly is it has this attachment that you can put on. So it also has like a lint remover at the other end, and you can slide this over the lint remover, and it is actually a pet hair remover from all your furniture. It's so great. It's rubber. It's rubber, so all the pet hair just
and actually some people brush their animal with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, we love our Gleaner. And then, of course, travel gleaners.
And some people wonder because this travel Gleaner is a little bit cheaper, but what I say is that if you're using it at home, the other Gleaner is much more ergonomic, and it's easier to put more energy into it to get, especially if you have pills that are really tricky, that are tough.
If you're doing big blankets
This is really great when you're on the go and you
This is great
want
just to keep in your purse.
Yeah.
Because it is also a lint remover on one side, and then the blade is along the bottom edge here, and then this opens up and it's got your other blades on the inside.
So it's great for travel and on the go, but if it's really mostly for home, pay the extra a few dollars and really get the one with the handle. That's easier. And then I think our last thing we want to talk about is just we had the Cocoa Knits. Maybe that's why, Melissa, because you had books, right?
Okay, maybe.
But maybe we'll finish up the sweater care.
Yeah.
So we have 2 great soaps that are non-rinse, and one is Soak, and then the other one is Ukulele. So my sister-in-law is not a knitter and has practically no hand knits, but she uses both of these for her lingerie.
And my sister orders this by the gallon for
actually,
us.
By the gallon. We had
why? You know what she uses them for? She has great big sheepskins that sort of over her chairs and stuff in the living room, and she throws them in the washing machine on gentle with this.
Well, because it gives you instructions. You can use the ukulele either in your washing machine, or in your by hand washing.
I know, but I didn't think
that
that sheepskins with leather backings would go through the washing machine.
It's true.
But she does, and they're fine. I think she made the mistake of using regular detergent, and the leather just completely hardened up.
But with the Eucalan,
it's this
good.
one, so listen, do some research before you do that.
Yes,
I'm not recommending that you do that with your sheepskins at home. I'm just saying that's what she uses it for.
And then we have these little packs. We might have spoken about them before, but they're single-use packs, so for travel. And then what I actually use when I travel are these little bottles, and it's great because I keep refilling from my big bottle.
Yeah, my favorite scent is the yuzu, which is the citrus scent from Soak. But I like to get the little ones. Yeah, the fig that's
my
really
scent now.
Nice.
I'm all over the fig now.
I like the fig too. And so I like to get the little ones for the ones that I just want to try once in a while.
And my favorite of Eucalan is eucalyptus. It's the original, and it's not. Some people think, oh, you're gonna smell like a hospital or like medicine. No. It's very subtle.
Very nice.
So we have different scents for that too. Oh, and the last little thing actually. Well, we have Katrinkos.
Just that those have been restocked.
Yeah, little stocking stalkers. It's the Kitchener stitch. And for our French customers, we've been trying to work on a French version, but it seems like everything we come up with is very wordy.
This is too much text for the back of the...
This is a little ruler. Yeah. So, si on a des clients français qui nous aimeraient...
We think you asked them last time.
Yeah, nous envoyer des suggestions. Nobody has sent them. S'il vous plaît, envoyez-nous des suggestions pour le Kitchener stitch en français.
Okay.
Voilà.
I think this is the last thing.
I think this is the last thing.
We could go on and on, but these are just a few. Oh, no, I have two more, Lise.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll talk about these first. Okay, so this is the Cocoa Knit Sweater Workshop book. So we've talked a lot about this year. It still continues to fly out of the store. People love it, and if you're familiar with the book at all, what it does is it has a worksheet at the back here, and that's great. And if you need to use it, you can photocopy it over and over again for all your sweaters that you decide to work up in this book. But what's great is Julie has also developed the, what is she calling it? The worksheet journal, where it's basically a whole book of these worksheets where you can keep all of the sweaters that you've knit and all your recipes for them in one place, so that if you ever want to go back and make
that reference.
you can just go back.
It's amazing.
You don't have to go back and start from scratch, reworking your.
And I always say I'm going to have a notebook and I'm going to write all the mods I make, so that when I remake it, I'm going to have all my information, and I write it on my pattern, then I lose the pattern, and then I throw out the pattern. So the fact that it's in a book and it's all there.
So I think that makes a great gift for somebody, is those two together.
For a sweater knitter.
For a sweater knitter. Or someone who's just getting into sweater knitting. And then finally, we have also just been restocked with all of our small, medium, and large sock blockers.
Which are nice because they're airy and things dry faster.
And they make your socks look pretty while you're... I always put the one that I finished on as inspiration for my second sock.
Well, it's interesting. It's like people who are knitting with beautiful yarns and put it in a bowl in their living room, you know, or they have their Notions dish or the Notions bowl, yarn bowl. It's part of your decor, you know? It's nice. It's nice to have it there.
Yourself with beautiful things
to inspire you.
Love, exactly.
So that kind of brings us, the holiday gift guide kind of brings us to this idea of, holiday knitting. Well, sorry, I got a hair in my mouth. Holiday knitting, and there's this huge question. Someone kind of asked it to us on our Knit Night Live, like, what about selfish knitting, And I said, let's turn that word around from selfish to self-full, And so, do you knit for others? Do you knit for yourself? And so, brings us to holiday knitting, right? Like, who do you knit for?
I don't knit for that many people. I know you're not. I know it was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. But at the same time,
who do I knit
and
for?
Explain that.
So, I don't knit for I don't knit for a lot of people, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, because sometimes I think that unless you're a knitter, you really don't understand the work and the cost of
100%
what goes into knitting. So I have gifted a few people knitted items in the past, and I've noticed that they just can't appreciate it in the same way a knitter can. And that's not really necessary, but it's also about the care. So knitting something requires a lot of time and a lot of commitment, especially if you've really taken on something ambitious, even if it's hats or socks, or it's still something it's time taken away from something you could be knitting for yourself or somebody who might really appreciate it. So I find that I really have to determine whether or not somebody's knit worthy, whether or not they're going to look after what I've made for them and truly appreciate what I've made for them. Otherwise, they would be just as happy with something that I've purchased for them. So if it's really that I'm knitting something for somebody, if I knit something for somebody, it's because I care about them so much or they are that important to me that I want to spend that time and that energy. And I want them to understand that when I give it to them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But if that's not what they're going to understand when I give it to them, then they are going to be just as happy with something that I go out and purchase.
That's 100%. Right. And I really think we have to own that and accept that. And, I learned that lesson really early on because my first year knitting, I was like, at Christmas, I'm going to knit
everybody something?
Everyone. Like every one of my mother's brothers.
Really?
Everyone, like my uncles, all my cousins, I knit so much to the point of like Christmas morning, I got up early to finish a hat for my uncle. Yeah. And I was shocked at the lack of appreciation.
And enthusiasm.
And enthusiasm. Like, and exactly like you said, oh, thanks. But if I would have bought a hat,
they would have been just as happy.
So then I'm like, oh, am I being selfish because I want recognition for what I did and I don't feel that.
Is your ego involved?
Exactly, because you're not appreciating what I did. But exactly to Melissa's point, there was so much effort and time I spent to choose each project for each person and the yarn and the amount of time I spent knitting and the stress I put on myself.
So then you just wind up with hurt feelings.
I said, that's it. I'm done. So I said,
you got it all out of the way.
I got it all out of the way at the beginning. However, I actually knit for all my son's teachers, and I've been doing that since kindergarten, because my son goes to a school where they really appreciate knitting, and I actually do knitting at the school, and I do knitting with the teachers.
But and they understand what goes into it.
Huge appreciation. So it's very interesting because my son and I choose together. Yeah. So we decide which teacher needs what item, which color. He comes and helps me pick it out. I knit all the projects, and then he wraps them, writes a card, and then he gives it. Sorry. Excuse me. Okay. So I'm good. So then he gives them, and as soon as those teachers see me, they're like all over me. Yeah. Oh my! They're not even actually. They're actually wearing it.
Yeah.
Even inside. So like, say if the next day I come in,
they love it.
They love it, and they're wearing their scarf. They're wearing their hat.
But that makes you want to knit for people, right?
So
that makes you want to knit for people. So I knit for my husband and my son, but not huge things, not sweaters, not because my husband doesn't wear a lot of heavy sweaters. My son is 13. He's growing. I've been saying that since he was little.
But he is growing.
Out of it. So then I was like, oh, there's no point. So I make him accessories. I do hats and neck warmers and last year I knit him a bunch of stuff and he'll wear it. But again, he's it's a 13-year-old boy. Yeah. He's like, yeah, Mom, I love it. Thank you. What I will do is if they ask me for something specific.
Yeah.
So they have seen something they love, or they just want something and they ask it, and then I know they're going to love it, and then they're going to wear it and appreciate it, and that's all great. I knit for my mother and my sister because they also both love and appreciate anything I give them. And then once in a while, I will knit something for my husband's sisters because they too are very appreciative and love. But really, that's about it. I think I've kind of determined who the knitworthy people are, and that's who I keep it to.
Yeah, and I think that's totally justified. And I think you have to have that reflection, and you have to be honest because, like Melissa said, a person who doesn't knit doesn't really necessarily understand.
Yeah, and you can't hold that against them.
No, really. It is who they are. And so you don't want to hold that negative energy
No,
either.
I wouldn't have known. No. It's not who they are. It's just a lack of knowledge. Yeah. I mean, until you're into knitting and until you understand you've done it, then you see what goes into it.
Right. So
I wouldn't know.
I think this idea of selfish knitting, it kind of bothers me because it's not selfish. I mean, you're doing an activity and you're doing it for the pleasure, and sometimes it's for you and sometimes it's for somebody else. And so if we look at that then and we say, okay, so knitting for others, so there are a lot of people who do knit for others. Yeah. So my thing I always say is that you have to, the person appreciate, like you said, and then you really have to think of that person, and you have to think of, what do they need? What do they wear? What colors suit them? Yeah. What colors, because some knitters just love knitting with color, and they come in and they want to make a scarf for their daughter-in-law, and I'm like, okay, well, how does your daughter-in-law dress? Oh, she's always in black. I'm like, well, then don't knit her a red scarf.
Exactly.
Knit gray,
respect
knit charcoal.
the person you're knitting for.
Yes, because if you knit something and it doesn't respect their style or their color,
it will just be your wasted energy, right? It's just wasted time and wasted money and wasted energy. Yeah.
So, and also with babies, you know, we have a lot of grandmothers that come in and they like to knit with certain colors. And I said, if the mother of the baby does not like that style or that color, forget it. You might get a photo of the baby wrapped in it or wearing it, but that is the only time
the kid will be in it.
So if your daughter-in-law, your son-in-law, your son, your daughter have a very modern aesthetic and their room is all cream, you know, don't do a minty green blanket.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you understand that.
Mint.
Yeah. The other thing too is the cost of the item, you know, like you have to respect your budget as well and say, how much is this going to cost me financially? And so can I make it in a yarn that's a little bit more economical, that respects my budget and still be just as beautiful? Or do I really want to splurge because this is heirloom, this is something special?
And this person is very special and they will appreciate it.
Yeah. So there's that aspect. The choice of yarns also, like, is a lot of people come up and say, I want to knit something for somebody, but I know they will never hand wash.
Yeah. So make sure you choose a superwash yarn. They'll love your knitting, but they will not. The idea of hand washing something hasn't ever crossed their mind.
And so,
or they're not willing to do.
And you just have to accept that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's all about respecting who the recipient is and to really make sure it's something they like.
I think that's a really good point to keep in mind.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we shoot ourselves in our own foot, you know, when it comes to knitting something that is too much about us to give to somebody else, and it hasn't really identified the or respected the essence of who they are and what they will like.
And it's true. And sometimes you just want to give somebody a gift and you're like, oh, I don't have a lot of time, so I'll just do this quick thing for them. But it's not really something that they would ever wear, you know? So how can you either make them something that they would wear or then just do something else? So I think that's really probably the biggest message, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And just in the context of the holidays coming up and people wanting choices that you need to make.
And what I think is really nice too is when if you decide to knit, because I'm sure a lot of you do knit for your children's teachers or you knit for colleagues, you know, it's really fun to get your kids involved, you know, and say like, well, what colors does your teacher wear?
Yeah,
what colors does your teacher likes? Because you're the one doing the knitting, but if your child can be involved, then they're part of that gift giving as well, you know. So I think that's important.
Well, yeah, and try to get them to knit it if you can.
Yeah.
Right.
I know my son should be there, you know.
He
should be knitting there. But you know, and you know what's really fun is I'd mentioned this in a podcast, is what's even better is when the teacher is a knitter. So then you don't have to knit it.
Or just give them yarn.
Give them yarn. Give them like a nice little package of something or some little gadget. Yeah. So or give them a knitting lesson too, you know, or something like that. So I think what I'd like to see is to change the discussion from selfish knitting to just you know, self-full knitting. And knitting is a process and it's a pleasure, and you knit what brings you pleasure, whether it's for other people or for yourself. So I mean, I think in this holiday time, as we're preparing, you know, we're all loving knitting. For those of us living in colder climates, it's getting colder and we want to cocoon and we want to knit. So it's a beautiful time to just decide who you're going to knit for, what you're going to knit, and to just enjoy the process. Right?
So on that note,
we wrap it up.
Wrap it up. So I think we will have another podcast. Well, December 10th, for everyone to keep in mind. On December 10th, we're doing another
Sunday night,
Eastern Knit Night Lives, 8 o'clock. And I'm sure we'll do another podcast between now and Christmas.
Yes, that's our plan, but we weren't sure if we should announce it because then pressure. You know us with pressure.
Well, I say we put it out there and then...
And we'll see, just like this morning, Melissa sends me an email at 9 o'clock. Are we still meeting at the store this morning? Yes, we are. So thank you so much for tuning in. It's always a great pleasure to read your comments afterwards and knowing that this is going out to so many of you and so many of you who we met at Rhinebeck. Yeah. And thank you for staying tuned.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who keeps joining us week after. Yeah. No, I say week after week, episode after episode. Exactly. And thank you to anyone who's discovering us, joined us for the first time on this episode. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. So
perfect. So
spending some time with us.
Yes, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.